from abandoned islands to mysterious ancient mazes. These are the 11 strangest places in Russia. Number 11. The YAMAL craters. During a routine trip, helicopter pilots spotted a mysterious hole deep in the Siberian Permafrost. Before it was even news, a second hole was reported, then a third. At this point, it was not easy to dismiss the curious case of the sinkholes, craters, shafts, whatever you want to call them. By February 2015, a total of 7 craters were reported, and people wanted answers. The first official reports stated that the craters were caused by explosive methane release, a process connected to global warming. But other theories have surfaced as well. The holes were there the whole time. They were just covered by ice plugs. That ice melted and boom, there's a hole again. Unfortunately, the second theory doesn't explain the built-up material around the hole, which is indicative of an explosion and not fast-melting ice. Both theories do have one thing in common though, global warming, but that's a subject for a different video. Stranger still, some internet detectives believe that the craters are the result of experimental plasma arc weapon technology. Weird. Number 10. Norilsk. Imagine this, a record high January temperature of 26 degrees, paired up with a record low of -63. That's cold, so cold. Let's not forget that since Norilsk sits above the Arctic Circle, the sun forgets it even exists for about 7 weeks out of the year. Does anyone else remember 30 Days of Night? The city was built for and by slave labor. More than 500,000 laborers were forced to work in these terrible conditions during the Stalin regime. Around 18,000 of them died. Surprisingly, after the death of Stalin, a lot of people chose to stay in Norilsk and continue to work in the mines they were forced to build. The biggest issue in this industrial place is the extreme pollution. Reports say that in some parts of the city, the soil is so contaminated that it is economically feasible to mine. Could that really be the case? Yeah, it is. A company decided to dig up soil deposits contaminated by the heavy metal dust that rained upon the area for the past 50 years. That is according to this 2007 New York Times article. Number 9. Votovara Mountain. In 1978, a Russian adventurer stumbled across this mysterious and unsettling place. Even though it has grown in popularity, the mountain is still hard to access. There are no paved roads and nice tourist welcome centers that hand out visitor maps. With stories of UFO landings, rituals of sacrifice, and eerie stone pools, the Votovara Mountain will surely be the subject of discoveries in the future. But for now, we only have stories. This whole surrounding area is of special importance to the ancient Sami people, who have lived on these lands for hundreds of years, and to this day, pagan believers visit the mountain in hopes of understanding it. The dead trees give out the weirdest vibes. Maybe they are the trapped souls of all those ancient people that were sacrificed here. Number 8. BOLSHOY ZAYATSKI Island. Well, what do we have here? A remote island next to a bigger remote island? Yes, indeed. Honest question time. How often do you just get lost exploring Google Earth for hours on end? I'm guilty as charged. Okay, anyway, this tiny island has a long and rich history. Some sources claim that it has the highest concentration of ancient labyrinths on the planet. But Herodotus might have to disagree with ancient origins. This is him speaking about the massive labyrinths that he saw in Egypt. I feel like we got very sidetracked here. The labyrinths on the island are of unknown origin, and some have been dated as far back as 30,000 BC? What? Considering they still look good and recognizable, that was some expert craftsmanship, I would say. Theories surrounding them range from the labyrinths being a portal to the underworld to being a sacred place for the practice of magic. Hopefully some research will be done so we can have a definitive answer on just what we're looking at here. Number 7. Novaya Zemlya. With a population density of 0.69 people per square mile, Novaya Zemlya is both extremely remote and very desolate. It is the farthest north or east you can go and still claim to be in Europe. The name literally translates to new land, but maybe we can call it radioactive land. Why, you might ask? Because the most powerful nuclear weapon ever detonated was dropped here. Nicknamed the Tsar Bomba, this beast of a hydrogen bomb had a yield of 57 megatons of TNT. The fireball reached a diameter of 5 miles and the total destruction radius was around 22 miles. There were many other tests performed in Novaya Zemlya, 224 to be exact. Novaya Zemlya is a grim reminder of the Cold War, and it will hopefully never be used to test another nuclear weapon. Hopefully. Number 6. Porbajin. Alright, let's venture down south. By the way, do you know how many time zones Russia spans? Keep watching to find out. Near the border with Mongolia, you can find yourself visiting an ancient fort in the middle of a lake. Porbajin is believed to be a Uyghur palace built sometime in the 8th century AD. Throughout the years, it changed owners, and at one point, it was a monastery. After a destructive earthquake, the tiny island was completely abandoned and left to the elements. For centuries, it was known that something existed there, but serious excavation only began in 2007. Here is a reconstructed model of what the palace looked like at one point. Considering the Uyghur people do not have a country to call their own, any part of their long history is cherished greatly. Porbajin has become a very important part of their modern culture. Number 5. KIŽH Island. Lots of weird islands around Russia, huh? KIŽH Island, KIŽH Island doesn't have a grand mystery or unexplained history around it. It's just different. The big 22-dome church we see in these pictures was built in 1714 and has managed to stay strong to this day with only minor repairs. At one point, the church was surrounded by a massive wall that served as protection from Polish and Swedish attacks. The island is part of the KIŽH Open Air Museum, and anyone that is interested in the beautiful architecture can visit around 90 different wooden structures. Pretty cool. Number 4. The Amber Room. It wouldn't be a Russian list video without mentioning the mysterious Amber Room. In 1716, the Amber Room was given to the Russian Tsar Peter the Great. During the Second World War, the room was stolen and brought to Königsberg. That was the last known location of the original Amber Room. No one knows what happened to this unique 8th wonder of the world. The pictures we have been looking at are the masterful reconstruction of the original. There have been many wild goose chases for the original, but alas, only a few pieces have been recovered. It is believed that at this point, it's completely destroyed. Number 3. The Mir Mine. Another YouTube certified clickbait 3000, the Mir Mine. The kimberlite diamond pipe piece was one of the deepest open pit mines in the world, so big that helicopters are not allowed to fly over it because of the apparent suction by its sheer size and depth. Well, not really, there isn't any suction or staggering gravitational change. The real reason behind the no-fly zone is the change of air temperatures above the pit. The temperature difference can cause a deadly loss of lift that a beginner pilot cannot recover from. There's also the whole De Beers conspiracy, which is more fact than conspiracy, really. The mining operation in Russia was so big that De Beers company, the main distributor of diamonds in the world, had to start buying most of the production from the Mir mine, so they could still charge exorbitant prices for their diamonds. Such nice people, right? Screw it, let's look at some more mines. So we have the Mir mine at number 4 by size, then the Udachnaya pipe at number 3, at number 2 we have Chuquicamata in Chile, and at number 1, the largest man-made hole in the world, the Bingham Canyon Mine, located in Utah. Number 2, the Motherland Calls. Located in Volgograd, this intense statue commemorates the Battle of Stalingrad. Stalingrad was the old name for Volgograd. It was also one of the bloodiest and most brutal battles in history, with around 1.7 to 2 million people wounded, captured, or killed. It was hell on earth. The Axis forces advanced into Stalingrad for months and months, almost took over the whole city. But surprisingly, they found themselves surrounded by the Red Army. It took a while for the Axis forces to use up all their food and ammunition, but after 5 months, 1 week, and 3 days, the Battle of Stalingrad was over. In 1967, the statue was completed, and it became the tallest sculpture in the world. It no longer holds that title, but it is still a sight to behold. Number 1. The Church of Andrew the Apostle on Vuoksi River. We have arrived at our final destination, the secluded church found in the middle of a river. Believe it or not, the church is not hundreds of years old. It was actually built in the year 2000. The church is open to anyone who is willing to make the trek across the river. And if you're afraid of small boats, you can always wait for the winter, when the water around it freezes. So, did you know how many time zones Russia spans? The answer is 11. Check out the featured comment below, subscribe for more World and Earth, and I'll see you in the next video.